Hello, here we go. It's the Cop-Out Podcast.
What is happening, everyone, and welcome back to another Cop-Out Podcast. And the Premier League is finally back. I'm Mick and I'm joined after quite a, I don't know if it's a brief or a long or a very long hiatus from Tim Favre and Matt Ramirez, but welcome back, lads. How are we both doing today on this 10 a.m. Saturday morning?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
I didn't catch that, Matt. Sorry.
I didn't catch that either.
I'm doing better than Tim, judging by the state of him. But
yeah. I've certainly been in better states myself. So
yeah, I think we've all had a few bevies last night, and we won't go into any more on Tim's life. So let's crack on to let's get straight into the preview, boys. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. It feels like last year was a bit of a mad one, when finishing third, when it was we had no defenders left, we had no midfielders left, we were just absolutely bare, and now we've got all those players back. So it's going to be a good one, and coming up against Norwich later today. So before we get into it all, though, we've got a kick-off question, which is from Doug on Twitter, and he has asked, if you could play a Marvel or DC hero or villain, who would you be and why? So anyone wanted? I think, Tim, you thought that this one was going to be easy, so go ahead, get stuck into that one.
Well, it has to be one of two, surely. It had to be Iron Man or Batman, because it's superhero billionaire. So it's you get the best of both worlds. So when you weren't being a superhero, you had a ton of fucking money and you're living in a big ass house. So I mean, for me, easy question that.
Sounds Matt?
Yeah, Joker, 100%. Because that guy's just batshit crazy. Could do whatever the fuck he wants. No one bats an eyelid at him. No one has the balls to tell him what to do. He's got a bunch of guys doing his job for him. So, okay.
I think that says a lot about Matt's private life, that he's picking the Joker, I reckon. Which we won't also go into. But yeah, no one said Iron Man. Is no one feeling an Iron Man for this one?
Well, that's what I said. I said Iron Man or Batman.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Superman. I was thinking between Iron Man or Superman, to be honest. So I think Iron Man shades it, because if you can't be asked anymore, you can just take the suit off and just live a normal life, I suppose.
That's what I'm saying.
Or you can use
it's not even a normal life, because you're rich as anything as well. So
yeah. Go on, Matt. Do you have something else to add there about the Joker?
Joker's more fun. He's always laughing. Even when he's getting his ass kicked, he's laughing.
Well, Chris put in the comments there, Joker, and then 2 laughing faces. So I don't know if that means he's happy with that or he thinks you're a knobhead. So anyway, boys, let's get back on course, and let's start with before we can get into knowledge, let's get straight into the absolutely huge news yesterday about Virgil van Dijk has signed a new contract extension until 2025. That's absolutely boss news, isn't it, Matt, going into the season today?
Yeah, 100%. He's the rock that our team's built on. He's a beast. I know there was always doubts about him, like how he'd recover from injury, but I've got no doubts at all. The man's a beast. He was like the signing, the pivotal moment that started to change how we played. Like, our defense got a lot better when he was in, and we're just a lot more solid with him at the back. So if Ramos can do it until he's 36, and Virgil can as well.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd double down on that as well, to be honest. I think that, I think we need to kind of start pushing back the expectations of when an athlete retires and when they kind of fall off that age cliff at this point, because in across all sports, really, you see athletes playing, playing at a high level and closing in on 40 at this point. You've got Tom Brady now, who's 44, 45, playing in the NFL. He's just won a championship there. like Matt just used a great example, Sergio Ramos, who's, you know, I'm sure will have a great year at PSG, and he's still a top defender. You can't deny it. So, you know, a guy who's as physically dominant as Virgin, who's as technical at him, you got to give him the credit of being able to kind of extend his career, even with a major injury like that at this stage, to at least kind of his mid-30s, being one of the top 5 defenders in the world. So for me, tying him down just lets you know where Liverpool's future's at, and, you know, it gives you confidence that we're going to be competing with the likes of a Man City and a Chelsea, no matter how much they spend over the next few years. So it's certainly a reassurance, and it's a good thing going into a new season to have that feeling.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a cliche, isn't it, where all these signings, people are saying, no, they've been staggered across, like the likes of Trent, we've got Alisson and Fabinho, they've been staggered across a few weeks, and there's a bit of outpour on Twitter saying it's because we're not signing anyone, so they're doing it in little drips and drabs just to kind of keep the fan base happy. But it is a cliche, but it is as good as a new signing in a way, because you're keeping these players tied down to long-term contracts. They're, like, when you look in the past, like it was 2008-09 and then 13-14 where we got so close, we ended up then losing our star assets after that because we weren't quite there. And this time, it's no coincidence that we're keeping these players around, and obviously the right things are being said to them by Klopp and whatever to keep them around. So that's all we need to, and as long as we add to that over the coming years, then we'll be sorted. But another one that I think Klopp said this last night about Hendo, he said that it will happen, we will sort it, no doubt about that, which I think is also huge, because I think this summer's been a bit of a mad one, because obviously Henderson didn't get back till late, and all this storm in the teacup stuff came out about his contract situation, whether he wanted more wage demands or whatever else. But that one getting sorted, if it's not obviously today or in the next week or so, that's going to be huge, isn't it, as well, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing coming from that situation is that, you know, I personally, I was always worried that he was going to be asking for a big wage. And to be honest, it's Hendo. He's the captain. You know, he's been superb and sublime every time he steps on the pitch for us. So for me, in order to keep him, he warrants that big wage. But to hear that it's a disagreement on the kind of like on the terms, on, you know, the amount of years that they want to extend is not worrying, but it kind of, you know, it was kind of a, you know, it's like a what's going on there kind of situation when you first heard that. So, yeah, obviously it is a bit of a worry when you know, and Henderson's at this point is a Liverpool icon. He's a Liverpool. He's walking around, whether he plays another game for Liverpool or not, he will be a Liverpool legend forever. You know, so to hear that, you know, there's contract issues with someone of that stature is worrying at any point. So yeah, no, you know. That's all it is really, but to hear that especially from Klopp, that, you know, that's going to get sorted is, again, a big reassurance, and exactly what you want to hear from the person you want to hear it from. So as soon as Klopp had something to say about it, that made me very comfortable with the situation.
Yeah, Matt, do you echo that as the defender of Jordan Henderson?
Yeah, number one fan. Yeah, 100% echo what Tim says. It needs to get sorted, and I'm glad it is going to get sorted. But I was just as worried as Tim was about the issues regarding the length of the contract, because I think Liverpool really messed up when it came to Steven Gerrard, and Gerrard should have retired at Liverpool and not at LA Galaxy. And I'd argue that it's the same for Jordan Henderson. He's won the Champions League with us. He's the first Liverpool captain to win a Premier League, and that man needs to retire at Liverpool unless he chooses otherwise. It shouldn't be the club shunting him out. It should be him saying, I want to leave, if he does want to leave. So I think they need to offer him whatever he wants, because the guy's earned it. He's been here for 10 years. He's lifted everything there is to lift, apart from, you know, that advertising cup. Whoever pays the most money gets the Carabao Cup, and the FA Cup. Okay. Not too big a deal in my eyes, to be honest. But he's earned whatever he wants, and the club needs to give it to him. So hopefully they do.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, because he's 31, maybe people are worrying about tying someone down who can pick up injuries, but I think that's just natural as you get older, isn't it? As a 31-year-old midfielder, you're bound to pick up a few more. But as a talisman and how important he is on and off the pitch, I think it's a no-brainer to keep him around, obviously. And the quicker we get that sewn up, the better, really. Because we want later today, to get off to a flyer. I mean, we'll come on to if he's going to start or not, but he's a huge presence, and that needs to be sorted. But yeah, boys, let's get straight into the footy. Then obviously Arsenal kicked off the Premier League season last night by getting beat 2-0 by Brentford, which was mad for me because like I'm still in Devon, and I honestly forgot the game was on, and I thought I'll have a little look on live score, and saw the score, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and then you look at Arsenal's team, and without Lacazette and Aubameyang, it was just they just don't look that great, which is a shame to see. A good, like, how good Arsenal were to go to what they are now, which is that just proves us what a slippery slope footy can be, and if you don't keep on top of recruiting the right players and maybe having a good managers, then that's what can happen. But I thought we'd just spend a good chunk of time now, like, talking about team selections, because I think there's got quite a few question marks, and obviously we can dip in and out of the pre-season games as well that we've watched, and there's been a lot of quite eventful games with a lot of good performances from the likes of Minamino's played well, Kate has done well as well, which, false dawn or not, he's played well, so that remains to be seen if he can keep that up. Harvey Elliott's done well as well in the games he's played, and then obviously Van Dijk and Gomez have got vital minutes in the legs, and obviously perfect settling in time for Canate. The only downside was an injury to Andy Robbo, which will most likely keep him out until after the international break against Leeds. But taking his place, though, is Kostas Tsimikas, who I think he's been one of the shining stars, hasn't he, of pre-season? So he's got a perfect chance, hasn't he, Matt, to kind of prove his worth. I mean, I think his way into the team was an injury to Alberto Moreno, so it's a perfect chance for Kostas, isn't it, this, to show what he's all about?
Yeah, 100%. I think he's not going to oust Robbo, but at the very least, he's got a massive chance to shine and to make it a bit harder for Robbo to get back into the starting 11. With Moreno, when Robbo proved his worth, there was no Moreno had lost his place because we've been clamouring for a good left back. I think now, if Tsimikas performs, at least he gives Klopp the chance not to rush Robbo back in. It's a great chance for him. Hopefully, we don't see. I don't think we will, because he's been outstanding in pre-season. But the fact he's played so well means that we're not going to see Milner at left back, which is good for me at least. He's been linking up really well down that left flank, and so the goal for Taki or Bobby in pre-season with Tsimikas across from the left. So look, he's bombing forward well. He's solid enough at the back. And with all due respect to Norwich, it's not going to be the biggest baptism on fire, in theory. So it's probably a good game to sort of to get into stride with in terms of the Premier League.
Yeah, Tim, what are your thoughts on Tsimikas? He's done well, hasn't he? I think it's come at the perfect time that Robbo was late back to training. Tsimikas had to play in a way, and he's shown that he's got quality. He's got a good cross on him. He's always on the front foot, and like Matt says, it's probably a good way to bed him into a game against Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Arsenal, but these newly promoted sides are always up and raring for their opening day game, especially when it's at home. So I actually think it'll be tough, because I mean, if you remember Leeds last year, that was absolute. Was it last year or the year before? That was just absolutely Yeah, it was last year. Absolutely mental game, and I know Leeds were one of those sides that integrate into the Premier League very easily and finish much higher than they should do. But you never know when you're going to get that again. And Norwich have been have recently promoted again, and these guys will be out to prove a point. So I don't think that it will be as easy as a game that we get it credit for. I hope it is, to be honest. But in terms of Kostas, I think that he's proven that he can play football at this level. Really really high level, to be honest, during the preseason. I think he's been superb. I think he's been one of the standout guys from our preseason. Him and Naby Keita have really kind of like made you go, wow, these guys are basically new signings, because we didn't see any of them last year. So to be able to have that as a backup to Robbo, who to me is still the best left back in the world. I know there's all this talk of Luke Shaw, which is a bit of a joke, but to have that as an option to think that, you know what, we're starting to move towards that Man City territory in that position in particular, where, you know, if you've got a massive game in midweek and Robbo's played, you know, 8 games in 4 weeks over the course of Christmas, or 9 games or 4 weeks over that December thing, and you think, you know what, it's Brentford this weekend, we're going to put Costas in so that Robbo's fresh for a Champions League game in January, or something along those lines. Give him an extra rest, and to not be able to have that drop off that we all talked about. That you know, normally when at the moment with Liverpool, you put in a youngster in that area, you put in Milner, who's not a natural left back. So to be able to put him in and think, you know what, there's not going to be a massive fall off there is huge, and kind of trending towards what we want Liverpool to be in the long term, where, yeah, we have a fabulous starting 11, but when we kind of, you know, delve onto our bench, or we need to rest guys because the schedule's getting absolutely mental again, or, you know, we've picked up an injury as we have now at left back, you know, there's not going to be this massive drop off. And, you know, Tsimikas has proved that he's a quality, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's what we wanted, wasn't it? When Tsimikas signed, we were hoping that, like you said, exactly what you just said there, Tim, like we wanted that. Be able to give Robbo a rest, but Robbo was just that good and that willing to play every game that it's hard for Costas to get a look in. And obviously the fact that he got injured as well, Costas, last year, and he had COVID as well, I think, for a bit. So not been a great start to him, and factored also into the fact that we didn't have any fans in the stadium. I think that's another big thing that will hopefully help the likes of Taki and Thiago and Jota this season as well, with having that extra 1 or 2% from a bit of the energy from the crowd as well. But moving on to centre half, then Ahmed Ared has put morning lads. It's here. The season starts today. Can't wait. Do you think Kanate will start alongside Virgin? I think for me, it's been quite pointed that Klopp done an interview, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, saying about Van Dijk and Gomez being available for selection, but he also went on to say that he wouldn't change the centre halves during the game. So for me, that kind of screams that they're not, but neither of them are going to start, and it's going to be Kanate and Mata. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I also wouldn't want to risk it. You know, in the games that Virgin and Gomez have been playing, they do sort of get subbed out. They don't really last the full game. They're recovering from massive injuries here, and pre-season all well and good, but the Premier League's another level of intensity. And you don't want to push it, and at the same time you don't want to waste a substitute on a centre back unless you have to. If we're going at Norwich and somehow they're keeping us out, you want to bring on a Jota or a Keita off the bench. You don't want to have to bring on a Matip because Van Dijk's tired, or you don't want to stress out Van Dijk. So if this was Man City first game of the season, I'd say, you know what, fuck it, throw in Kanate next to Virg. And try, but it's Norwich, and with all due respect to Norwich, Matip and Kanate is a fabulous centre back pairing, so they should be able to keep out Timu Fucking.
Yeah, and for me, I think if everyone's fit, I still think it's Van Dijk and Gomez as the main two. So even if it is Kanate and Matip, and that's our second string in inverted commas, that's like pretty special second string, isn't it, Tim? Those two.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. You know, it feels like we've gone from nothing to everything at this point in the space of a couple of months. So, yeah, I'd probably start with Reece Williams and Nat Phillips, to be honest. that would be my ideal partnership, to be honest. But no, in all
on the 1 day long deal.
10-day contract, yeah. Yeah, you know, the thing is, the interesting thing is with a new signing, especially a young one like Kanate, it's never been Klopp's kind of, you know, it's never been his style to kind of just throw them into the middle of the squad, especially at the start of the season when they've not really had a significant period to adjust that Premier League quickness. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw a Virgin Matip or a Virgin Gomez, but if it was me, I would start Kanate and Matip. I'd play it safe. I think that they've got enough quality, and Matt playing alongside Matip, who has enough experience playing in the Premier League, would be enough to see through a Norwich. Like Matt said, if it was a Man City, I'd definitely throw Virgin Gomez in there. But it'll be an odd one because like I said, I just don't think it's ever been Klopp's style to throw a young player in like that and just expect expect him to perform at the highest level, especially when we're starting to kind of see these guys play, more and more minutes, and Virgin Gomez hit 70, was it 75 in preseason? Yeah. 75 minutes. So it wouldn't surprise me if we did see 75 minutes of Gomez and Van Dijk, and then saw an introduction to Ibu. But it's an odd one. I'm not going to be able to predict this and say anything with confidence, just because of that, that Klopp kind of style of not being throwing a guy in straight away. So I wouldn't be able to say, to be honest.
That's great fence sitting there, Tim.
Thank you.
I agree completely, but I think Ibu just changes it. The man is a beast by all accounts. Like, he's been solid in pre-season. He's played a lot in pre-season as well. So I think he's sort of fast-tracked that bedding in process. And something that we missed last season with Nat and Reece at the back was that Ibu's got a fucking pass on him. He's got a long ball on him, hasn't he? And I think with that as well, like that'll happen. And he's got Matip next to him. And I know that, Mick, you said that Joe Gomez and Virgil are probably our strongest partnership, but I'd say that Matip and Virgil is probably our strongest partnership. And the fact that he's going to have Matip next to him, I think Ibu will have no problems if he starts today.
Yeah, I think that there's no doubt, and Matip is one of the best in the world when he's on top form. There's very few who are better than him. I think there was, even when we were battering everyone in the league when we won the league, there was the games where Matip was better than Van Dijk. He was just, but I think that also comes from Van Dijk elevating the player next to him as well to levels that it's the psychological thing, isn't it? Where they think they can walk on water because Van Dijk is just that good and he just elevates you to that level. So. Yeah, it's nice to have options, isn't it? Because I remember a lot of podcasts last year where we do a review of a game and we'd be like, "Oh, I've got no centre half," so we probably do the same review every game where we're getting beat up 1-0 6 games in a row. It was the same thing over and over, but it's nice to have options, which brings me on to my next point on the midfield, and I think there's quite a lot of options there. Obviously, won't even touch on the right back and goalie because we know it's going to be Trent and Alisson, hopefully. So
no.
Don't, Matt. Just don't. What do you do that?
Loris.
You do know you've put your Twitter tag on there. You're going to get so much grief from all 7 people. But Chris Kelly's put a comment that Naby is fit, so I think he starts.
I read that wrong. I read Naby is so fit. I was like, what?
You thought Chris was like, oh, Naby's looking trim and shape this summer. But yeah, I don't think there's ever been a more of a banker in terms of the 2 out of the 3. I think the 2 out of the 3 that are pretty much confirmed is Naby and Fabinho. I just think it's that extra one where we maybe don't know, because there's obviously Harvey Elliott done good in pre-season, but with it being away to Norwich, if it was at Anfield, Klopp might have thrown him in and just think, let's see what you can do in a Premier League game. But I think Ox done well. There's obviously James Milner as well. Hendo, I don't think Hendo will probably start because he's still back in training and whatever, and we don't know how fit he is still. And then there's Thiago as well. So there's a lot of options, isn't there, Tim? But who would you pick as the 3 if it was you?
I know there's all the rumours of Milner starting and stuff. So if that's going to be the starting lineup, that's going to be the starting lineup. I don't have a problem with it. I think Milner's still brilliant. But personally, I would like to see, because it's Norwich and not a team that's going to come at you full force like a Leeds or a Man City, or someone that's going to play free flowing attacking football. I'd like to see us with more creativity there. And I know that he's had a shorter pre-season compared to a lot of the lads, but I'd like to see Thiago there, because I think that he'll really be able to control the pace. I see Norwich kind of sitting back and trying to hit us on the break more than anything. So I think that we'll see a lot of teams this year think that they figured out Liverpool, and think that playing a low block and hitting on the break is going to work this year. Because we've got a lot of the centre backs back now and a different lineup. in our back two, I don't think it's going to work anymore. So I think that they will try that, and I think we'll score fairly early. And I think that why not have Thiago out there fairly early to break down a low block like that? Thiago and Naby, I'd love to see that partnership, especially with the freedom of having Fab behind them. And to be honest, I think that the extra one, I think my midfield three throughout the season is going to be Thiago, Fabinho, and Hendo. I think that's got to be your go-to three at this stage. But for a game like this, where Hendo's not had a great preseason, a long preseason, sticking for Thiago, Naby, and Fab for me.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Matt, on that?
I can't see. I'd love to see Fab, Naby, and Thiago. I can't see it. I've got a feeling the whole Milner rumours are going to prove true. Just to have a bit of a general general shouting about the place in midfield next to Fab whilst they let Naby do their thing. But I'd love Klopp to go full flamboyant and play the front four with Naby and Fab in midfield, because Jota had a good pre-season and then Bobby just went, "Oh, you're going to score? Okay, I'm going to score too." Then. So I think, I mean, it's the year of Roberto. That's my opinion. It's Bobby's year, and I got a feeling that he might start the front four in Norwich. I'd love for him to start the front four.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get on to the forward three and then we'll get on to score predictions, but I'm just going to say Matt's going to go 3-0 Bobby hat-trick. So it'll happen one day.
One day.
But yeah, I think I'm also, Millie starting is probably likely, because obviously, like we've just said, Hendo isn't playing, and if Hendo isn't playing, Klopp does like to have Milner in there, just for, like you said, Tim, to have that voice in there, and he'll throw in a tackle, and he's ever running, albeit he's 35 now, and his legs aren't quite what they were in terms of maybe speed, but he's still got that stamina, and he's still always up and down the pitch. So I think that'll be the most likely. Doug's just put a comment there: Fab, Naby, and Milner I can see. Ahmed, I read, has put get a good lead and bring on Elliot to shake them up a bit more. And Chris has just put options FC.
I mean, Elliot's done really well. Like if Elliot got a spot in the midfield, I wouldn't complain. If Klopp went out, I don't think he wouldn't go out. But if he goes out Fab, Naby, and Elliot, I'd be over the moon as well, to be fair, because the kid looks unreal. Like loans go one of two ways. Loans either help a player or they just sort of shrink them. And Elliot's just sort of boomed at Blackburn. He's come back and he looks like a mini Coutinho.
Well,
too much on him, but he looks like a mini Coutinho.
He does a little bit, to be honest. But I was going to say, Mick, here's my question to you, mate. I mean, we've all talked about Fab in the starting lineup, but obviously there's no guarantee that he'll be there, because obviously he's had a fairly short preseason as well. So what if this Millie rumours because Fab isn't playing? So what if Millie's running that defensive midfield role?
Yeah, I just think I'll be very surprised if he doesn't play Fabinho. I'll be very surprised. I think he proved last year, didn't he, how good he was a centre-half, but then when we got him back into that CDM position, we were just a different team. We really were. Even with Nat Phillips and Kabak or Reece Williams centre-half, we were still really good. And then if you keep Fab there and then put Kanate and Matip in instead, it's just a different ball game altogether. So we are a very, very weaker team without Fabinho in there. He is our Van Dijk in the defence. We need him in there to kind of keep us as structured as a Klopp team needs to be. And I think without him, we're way weaker. So I'd be surprised. I mean, if Millie is in there, then, because I think in pre-season it's been Millie, Keita and Elliot, hasn't it, as a three. Naby on the left, Milner in the middle, and then Harvey Elliott on the right, alongside with Trent and Salah. And like you said, Matt, Elliott's been, he's been amazing, hasn't he? He's been so good, especially he's only just turned 18 in April, and he's got so much quality. He's fearless. He just wants to get on the ball and make things happen, and 9 times out of 10 he does. He's got that way to pass, and it is Coutinho-esque, that way to pass in behind, like outside the foot or curling over the top through balls. He's got a lot of quality, and I do hope we see him quite a bit this season. But Moving on then to the forward three. I'll come to you, Matt. Then obviously you're gonna have Bobby in there or Roberto, as you just said.
Okay.
Do you think it's going to be? Do you think he's going to go the front four? Do you actually think he's going to go front four and go two in midfield?
I'd love for him to go front four, but I think front four is a lot more likely when we've got Henderson fully up to speed. I think Henderson and Fab will hold the fort in midfield and let the four do whatever they want to do. So as much as I'd love a front four, I could see a front three, and I think it's the front three. I think Jota is going to drop to the bench. As good as he is, I think there's still questions over Jota, not how good he is, but if he's better starting or coming off the bench. I still think he's a lethal option to have off the bench for now. I know there was massive question marks about Bobby last year, but I really think that he's going to surprise everyone this year. I think he's going to blow up again, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh shit, we were sleeping on him." And I think I think you've got to go with Bobby, because what we've seen in this cup period is that when Bobby's firing, we're firing. Like he's still the key, and if he can bring his good pre-season form, he's had a good rest. He looks sharp. The crowd makes a big difference for him as well. If we can get that Bobby back, then you have to start Bobby with Salah and Mane. You have to.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, as good as Jota is, I think if, like you said, Bobby with fans in the stadium he's a different player altogether. I think you saw that when he scored that goal against Spurs in the last minute. He ran down to the cop, didn't he, and celebrating like, "I've missed you," like basically saying, "I've missed you all, and this is how much you mean to me," and whatever. So, I mean, I know it's away from home, but I still think that gives us an edge as well. I think we're just better with fans in the stadium. I just think it's just more of a normal environment, isn't it, for top flight football? So, Tim, what are your thoughts on the forward today?
Yeah, I'd go with the regular three, to be honest, unless you're playing the four. I think obviously the two guys on the left and the right are pretty stalwart. I think that you don't leave either of them out of a season opener, especially Mo Salah, who, is I think you'd lose money if you bet on him to score in a season opener at this stage. Yeah, I'd run with Bobby. I actually agree with Matt. I fancy him to have a kind of like a season where you kind of like go, "Oh, that was really impressive." I think that you'll start to see that effect of having Diogo around now, and I think it's going to push him into more of a regular striker role in the sense that I think he's going to be in better goal scoring form than he has been for us in the last couple of years. I think he's going to be more aggressive with his style of play. I think he's going to be looking less for the assist and more for the goal this year. Especially, I mean, we definitely showed that in his couple of preseason games, didn't he? But yeah, I'd run with the front three, and to be honest, the only person I'd move any of them for is Luis Suarez, and he's not coming back, is he? So there's only one player I would move Mo Salah out of, against Norwich, and that is Luis Suarez, because he'd score 4 or 5 or 6 or however many he'd won. So yeah, I'd go with the regular three.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice just to we could get Louis and Kabak back for one game. Well, Matt can stand in for him. But yeah, speaking of like Bobby, if you look at Bobby's goals, I'm having a quick look now just so we have a little chat about it. Like his career high for Liverpool is 27 goals in all comps, and that was in 17-18. And his other seasons, he's got 11, 12, 16, 12, and he got just 9 last year, which were all in the Premier League. So I'm hoping that what you say is true, Tim, that we see a Bobby who's more determined to get in the box, and he's quite selfless, isn't he, in that regard, where he always drops deep, and that's the role he plays. He likes to be a creator more than a finisher, and he gets a lot of flack for that because he gets compared to proper number 9s, and I don't think it's fair, really. I mean, it is fair because they're both strikers, but I think logistically it doesn't make sense to compare a proper number 9 to a Bobby Firmino, who's basically a false 9, who drops like to the halfway line most of the time and is tracking back and is making things happen. So I'm hoping maybe we see a revert to the 17-18 Bobby, where he was just absolutely bagging for fun, and maybe get that hat-trick that Matt's been dreaming about for a long time.
You know what? He's not even. The thing with Bobby is like, I'd love for it to happen today, and it could happen today. But he's the kind of guy that'll like go on a fucking dry run and then get a hat trick against Man City at the Etihad. That's just what like. So you know what? You said it before. It's gonna be 4-0. It's gonna be Bobby hat trick. And I don't give a fuck who scores before.
You know what? One day it's going to be like 3-0, Bobby 2 hat tricks, but like a hat trick, it's just in your head that you dreamt it and he scored.
Yeah, it'll be Bobby. Bobby gets 2. He rounds the keeper. It's like he taps. It's about to go in, and then Salah comes out of nowhere and just smashes it in, even though it's rolling in already. And for me, that counts.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few funny things on Twitter recently where it's like a picture of Bobby and then a picture of like Anfield with fans in, and the picture after is the Brazilian Ronaldo, and it's just he morphs into him when he's got fans in the stadium. And I mean, obviously it's a piss take because very few as good as that Brazilian Ronaldo in terms of goal scoring. But if we can at least see him get in the box more and maybe like the one he scored against, was it Osasuna where Simicast whipped it in for him? It might have been actually Bilbao, but either of those two. He scored that goal where Simicast whipped it in for him, and it was such a good goal, and it was straight off the training ground, and we want to see that relate into the game later today, which is like 8 hours away now, which is it's getting a bit exciting now. But let's go to score predictions because we're getting on for 40 minutes, and I need to get back to Liverpool. So score predictions, Tim. What are you thinking?
I think it's going to be 3-0. I know I said that it wasn't going to be an easy game, but Bobby hat-trick. No, I actually think there's going to be. I think Naby's going to get one. I think Mane's going to get one. And I think you have to go with Mo because Mo scores every season opener. So I think you have to go with Mo at this stage and give him that respect. So I think all the Mane and Salah, because I think Mane's looking like his old self. I think he needs a goal. I think if he gets a goal for his. In his season opener, I think that's going to give you an indication of what form of Mane we're going to see throughout the season. So I'm backing him to bag one. I think Naby's going to score a screamer. I think he's going to thunder bastard from about 30 yards, and I think Mo's going to get his typical season opener goal. So that's my prediction for today.
Go on, Matt. Are you actually thinking Bobby hat-trick, or have you got a real prediction?
None of my predictions are ever realistic. I'm always the outlandish predictions. So hear me out, because this is the thing. If I get it right, I look like a fucking wizard. So here we go. I'm going 5-0. There's going to be 2 from Bobby, 1 from Salah, 1 from Ibu. And then Elliot's going to come off the bench and get the next one. Watch this.
Is Ibu lobbing the keeper from halfway or what?
Ibu's going on a Matip-inspired run and then chipping the keeper.
And then Klopp brings himself on for the last 5 minutes and scores a bicycle kick from 70 yards. Back
heels a goal kick.
Brings on Karius and sticks Allison up front. Realistically, I'll go 3-0, and then I get Bobby to get 1 and Salah to get 2.
Sound. I'm going to go for 3-1. 3-1. I think. Hopefully they don't get the first one, but even if they did, I think we'd still be sound. But I'd love a 3-0. I'd love a clean sheet, especially if it's Kanate's debut and he stays on for the full game. Then that'll be perfect. Get off to a flyer. Get a clean sheet into the legs, and that should be a good start for us, I think. But boys, we'll leave it there. But before we do, Jay's just put a comment in there. Mick, we need to get MC Harvey back on the show when Harvey Elliott explodes. Think of the thumbnail opportunities. Yeah, I'll have to think about that. Hopefully he scores with 21 seconds to go or something similar to that. But Doug has also Jay's put a comment in saying play Robbie Fowler up front, which leads me on. Segue nicely to Jay's recent video, which was released yesterday, which is Copite Origins episode 2. Talking about Robbie Fowler's life and his career starting at Liverpool and that heartbreak leaving to Leeds, and then when he came back and the sheer jubilation, and it got me in the throat a couple of times when I was watching that. Just brought back a lot of memories. But yeah, if you want to go and have a look at that, just head over to the channel and have a look. Episode 1 still on there as well with Patrick Berger, which was the man himself enjoyed that one. He gave his seal of approval. So hopefully Robbie will today or this week will give his seal of approval on that video as well. But boys, nice one. We'll leave it there. It's getting on for 20 to 11, and I don't know if anyone's still awake or they probably gone to make another coffee, or I don't know, gone to put Bobby 3-0 hat-trick, see what the odds are for that. Or whatever you said, Matt, with Ibu scoring and the hat.
I'm gonna put like a quid on that as well, because if that actually comes in and I've said it, then and I haven't put money on it, I'll be so pissed.
Yeah, do it, man, do it.
You add in the clock to score a back heel from a goal kick as well, or what?
If I could, I would. It's an outlandish.
Just outlandish. But yeah, nice one for watching or listening. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or whatever podcast app you're listening on, nice one for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, drop us a like and a subscribe. And I think we'll be back tomorrow for the Norwich review, and hopefully we're celebrating the 4-5-0 victory and getting off to the best possible start. And we'll see you next time.